Hi, welcome to Thanatology Thursday. Today I want to talk about the five senses and how understanding how grief is experienced in our body can actually change everything. For me, as someone who is engaging in practices all the time so that I can meet my grief from a place of wholeness, I've developed some practices that I wanted to share here. So when we think of our five senses, the one of the first ones for me is touch. And I believe that when our loved one dies, one of the things that we often miss the most is their touch, right? And so in the absence of having them there with you the way you want them to be, you might want to get a piece of clothing that you can wrap yourself in. I have a beautiful shawl that I had handmade, and it has pictures of all of my family on them. And so when I'm feeling particularly lonely, I wrap myself in the shawl and I don't feel so sad anymore. So touch, so important, and finding ways that we can soothe ourselves when we're feeling so vulnerable. One of the other senses is smell. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I think of my grandmothers, both have passed now. Muzi was 97 and my grandmother, Grandmaman, was 99. And both were avid bakers. So anytime I walk into a space where I smell warm bread or cookies baking, I think of my grandmothers and it brings a smile to my face. So, when you're missing your person, maybe think about baking something or making a meal that evokes that sense of connection to them and makes you feel closer to them because you're enjoying a meal, even though they're not there with you. They can still be present in your life. The third sense is taste. And related to smell, I find, my dad's favorite meal, it wasn't a meal, but he loved making bacon bunnies. And bacon bunnies are like pieces of bread that you toast and then you put cheese on there and then you cook bacon and you put it in the oven under broil, and it's the most delicious thing ever. So whenever I feel like I want to connect with my dad, I make bacon bunnies. And my sister Tracy, one of the things she really loved and indulged herself with is ketchup chips. So, these memories are activated when we enjoy a piece of food that brings us back to either a moment or when we're connecting with a loved one. The fourth sense is sound. And so if I'm feeling particularly sad, I want to connect to my father, I play the song The Rose. He really loved Bette Midler, and we were listening to this all the time when we were younger. So, being able to connect with our people, my sister's song by U2, It's a Beautiful Day, always makes me think of her. And sometimes it's by surprise. I'll be driving in the car and a song comes up that makes me think of my sister, my dad, my grandmothers, and it makes me sad. But we know that these stugs, these sudden temporary upsurges in grief, are normal and natural expressions of our sorrow that arise and then subside. And if we can integrate them and honor them, they're reminding us that the people that we love are still here and present with us. And then finally, sight. So for me, pictures, can convey 1,000 words. And so often I will just meditate and I'll bring in pictures of my people, the people that I love that are still part of my lineage. I have lots of baking dishes and these beautiful serving plates from my grandmothers. And so the sight of those plates brings me back into moments when they were using those plates and celebrating family by having all this food on these beautiful platters. So the sight of something can actually be really, really beautiful and help us connect to these memories that make us feel like we're not so alone. And sorry about the noise. So rather than redo this whole video, here I am, in Ottawa, Canada, connecting with all of you. And hopefully that you find that connecting to the five senses brings us back to our grief and allows us to process what needs to be processed, right? And when we acknowledge that pain and joy and gratitude and love can sit side by side, we don't feel so isolated in our grief experience. So from me to you, remember, when we do this grief work, it works.